Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Kim from Intuitiview today.
Yeah,
We're so excited to have you. So,
me too.
really nice to have you here. I'm Teri at Holding Your Space, and Kim's also streaming to her channel. So,
I
there will
am.
be chat in both chat rooms.
Great. And you can hear me okay and everything?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot
it
to
sounds
ask you
great.
before.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I know. I forgot
Good,
to ask
good, good.
too. Yeah. That's one thing I did get is a microphone. We were talking about
Oh, good.
backstage, like what to do, what to do.
Yeah,
So, yeah, yeah.
good.
So, I know 2024 is supposed to have a lot of interesting things coming in. And I feel like people are a little apprehensive about it, but really excited about it too. So I love that. Thank you for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. So, what do you feel like the changes are going to be, or do you feel like it's climate? Um, some people are saying that physically there'll be a lot of changes on the planet this year. So,
Yeah. So probably about, I guess it was about mid-September, I got a message from my guides. It was kind of weird how it came in, but it was during a live, and during, I think it was on Thursday Night Live, and um, they said that the fall and winter were going to be crazy. It felt like just a lot of chaos and chaotic energy, and then a couple of weeks later, the incident in Israel happened, and all of that started to kick up. So it was right before that, and I got a when it came in, it was kind of sudden, and it was on the back of another question. So it was just odd how it came in. And at the same time, they said a lot of people would be leaving in groups. And they had given me that message before the pandemic. So I knew something was about to happen or about to something. But they always, you know, temper it with um, there isn't, this is all leading somewhere, and it's pushing us to awaken, to crack open the ego, basically. And we learn fastest and more deeply when we are in when we have challenges. We don't tend to learn when everything's going great and everything's perfect. It's when those challenges are brought up and we have to face things or face stuff, and so that was one of the messages that came in, was the fall and winter were going to be crazy and very chaotic energy. In March and April, something lifts. I don't quite know exactly what it is, but it's something that kind of lifts the energy and changes it around spring, early spring. And so I think that I'm not, I know this is anytime we have an election year, especially under the circumstances we've been in for the past, whatever, 7 years, 8 years.
yeah.
It's not going to be normal. It's going to be a lot of a roller coaster ride and kind of ups and downs. But I did feel like we're going to have a lot of help from the other side coming in. So there'll be, I feel like the energy will kind of be a mixture of feeling like we're teetering on the edge, and then we're kind of at the same time being sort of upheld and supported. So I feel like it'll kind of go back and forth, and so I think the best thing to do is to, what we usually say, right? Find your center, know those things that can comfort you, bring you to the present moment, those kinds of things, because but that is the feeling. It's kind of like a rocking and rolling, kind of a harshness to it, but also this supportive, holding energy that just feels like it's going to be there for anybody who seeks it out, because we'll need it. So those are the kinds of messages I've been getting, and a very harsh winter. I got that too, is that it's going to be kind of a harsh winter weather-wise. In my 2024 predictions, it said that it put it as though Mother Earth will continue to cleanse herself, is kind of how they put it. So, and that to me is a lot of different weather things going on. So that's what I got. How about you?
Wow. I did too. I got the winter I saw as being very not desolate, but like kind of like almost so cold you couldn't breathe. Like there's just this kind of wide out coming in to different places, not everywhere. And I did see a lot of changes on the planet, the tectonic plates, things going on this year, for sure. And I loved that when you talked about that we're being held, that you had your hands like this, like you're holding somebody, because that's what I see in meditations right now, are the angels are holding us.
Yeah.
Just literally, so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. But I do feel like we're being supported so much. And I mean, I feel it in my room even more so, because I do a lot of meditating in here, and it's always kind of full. There's always a lot of energy here, but I feel it even more so now. Yeah, Teresa Ford, ready to catch us if we fall. That's a great way to put it. Thank you. She's my interpreter.
Okay.
My pitter patter. I can talk for an hour. But yeah, so I do see things changing, and I also saw that there'd be a lot going on with water. Do you see anything with that, like the drinking water and waves, the oceans, and
yeah, it's funny. The one thing about water that I got, that I thought was really interesting, and an interesting way to put it. But I had asked about the upcoming election, and I said, if Trump gets the nomination, what's it going to be like? And they said, it's just the funniest imagery. I'm like, I would not come up with that. But they said it would be like a campfire taking on a tidal wave. That's going to be what it is. And I thought that's the perfect imagery, because he is kind of like a little campfire with his little, so angry, so, and yet kind of small, in a way, kind of little, in a way, that little me stamping around, and angry. But as far as like water imagery that they've given me, that was one I just thought was very interesting to note. But it was interesting because I remember last year I got a lot of water stuff. And this year I felt like there would be things falling and crashing, that kind of thing, like maybe mudslides or earthquakes. And I mean, we had that one in Japan. So earthquakes and kind of volcanoes and stuff, kind of more of a rattly, shaky, kind of crumbly. And I thought to me, that's so metaphorically correct to what's happening with a lot of, institutions, a lot of people. It's kind of like the facade is kind of shaking away, and we're kind of seeing reality, or things that were hidden before. So, but I can absolutely see just the idea of Mother Earth cleansing herself. That makes me think of water. So, yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. those earthquakes, I keep seeing an avalanche too. And
Mhm.
I know we just had one, but I feel like it's something bigger. I don't think it's just snow. I think it's something bigger coming in. So
Yeah.
anyway, but things breaking up, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you said tsunami, I was thinking, I don't know how you're interpreting that, but I bet if he is on the ballot, there's going to be a tsunami of a blue wave, don't you?
Oh, yeah. And because I think that it's so odd to me because I feel like his support has shrunk so much, and he's so divisive. Even in the Republican Party, he's so divisive. So he's going to have this little chunk that is voting for him, and everybody else is either going to not vote because they can't stomach a Democrat, or they'll be voting on for the Democrats. I
Yeah.
just think it's so obvious, and I don't know why they can't see that this is such a bad idea. But I also think I think it's necessary. I feel like we need that big defeat and kind of putting an end to this, just the ugliness that has been kind of, and the cruelty, the meanness. I feel like it needs to be sort of declared, no, we're not, this is not the way we want to live. This is not what we want. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think people are exhausted, tired, done. They really, really want to move into a space where we can maybe disagree, but listen to each other and have a normal discourse. I think people miss that. I think they don't like what's happened.
Yeah.
And I think they crave that. Maybe not this little tiny portion that seems so angry and a little bit brainwashed. They're just very stuck. But everybody else, I feel like, is ready to move to smoother, to greener pastures, smoother tides. It's like that's what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, when you say that, I can just picture a big foot just stamping on it, saying,
Mm-hmm.
not on my watch. But
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
hate to put it that way because, I don't mean stamping out people individually. I just
no,
mean
no, 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 no.
mean ideas.
Yeah, yeah. The idea of it, the premise of um, that you can control people and women's bodies, and our right to marry whoever we want,
Mhm.
and yeah, just those ideas are not what we stand for as a
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, and I feel like, and I'm glad that you brought up, like, um, other structures too, like the banking structure, like that we allow to have, car loans that are, that you can go in and get your a title loan, or
Right.
the paycheck loan, or all this, that these people, it just keeps people in, constant trouble, right? That
Yeah.
constant circle of poverty, or
Mhm.
just above the poverty mark. So, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Gotta change. Gotta stomp that
Mhm.
out for sure. Well, I
Yeah.
love that. So, what do you feel like, then with, say, our emotions? Like, since we did the physical part, getting into the emotional part of it. Like, how can we keep ourselves mellow and, aware?
I've been getting a lot, at least personally, a lot of personal messages about detaching, not being pulled into the drama, not being pulled into, and by that, it just means it's usually emotionally. That's what gets you, like, you start, and then you get drawn into the drama, and then you start defending yourself and getting in these defensive stances. And I've really gotten a lot of messages about stay detached, stay a little bit back from the chaos, um, be aware of it, be alert to it, but try to be separate from it, not getting into the fray, into the, whatever argument is going on. And I think that it doesn't mean that you don't care. I think there's an idea that if you're not involved emotionally and if you're not, right in the middle of everything, that you don't care. And it's really isn't that. It's about adding that kind of energy and making it stronger, making that chaotic energy and that kind of fuel that it needs to keep going stronger. When you pull out of it and pull back from it, you're able to kind of see it for what it is, and then you can act instead of react. And I think that's a much more, it's so much more productive, than to just react with emotion and jump in and start just, doing all your, saying whatever you're upset about and
typing away
that energy and adding to it. Pulling back and kind of, and a really good technique is to test it by watching the news or watching a reality show. That's a great way to do it too, because there's a lot of emotion and a lot of ego and stuff. And if you can pull back and pretend like, if it's the news, pretend like you're watching it you're watching like a past broadcast. So like it's done and already happened, and you're kind of stepping back and watching it. And it gives you that space that you need to pull back from it. And with reality shows, it's funny because they're so invested in whatever little thing they're freaking out about, and you have no investment at all. So you're kind of just observing it. And being in that position of the observer, there's so much more power there, because then you can respond or act in a way that is thoughtful and more true to your true self, not the reactive, identity, little me, ego self. It's a bigger and more it leaves a bigger impact, because it's controlled, it's acting, it's thinking about it, those, being very cognizant of decisions. Even, in our club, the message was all about being aware of our thoughts and how they have energy, and they're kind of the seed, because once the thought is there, it can then become something you say and then become something you act on. So being just aware is a huge way to kind of just distance yourself from that emotional, response that can make you act in ways that you would normally act in,
Yeah. I totally see that too, that it's all about awareness.
Yeah.
That's 100%. It's like just watching what we think, watching what we do. Be the calm seed, Teresa. Thank you. She's at it again.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. And it seems like 2015, 2014, right, when the election was ramping up for 45, was like, that was kind of a tidal wave almost of everybody reacting against each other, and everybody was on social media then too. So it was like that reaction just compromised so many families and friends, and it was so harmful. And then going into the pandemic and how that changed things, and we had time to stop and think and learn. And that's when I really got on YouTube, and I thought, gosh, this is great, man. You can learn about anything you want. So
yeah, you sure can.
it was so interesting. Anyway, be the rock in the river. I love that, Kelly. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, so I feel like all this energy coming in this year, and being aware of that coming in, and being aware of the golden opportunities. Like, I feel like it's a golden age, the beginning.
Say that again. You skipped out on
Oh,
my end. Say
oh,
that
I'm
again.
sorry.
No,
I
that's
feel
probably it's probably me, probably my connection.
well, ours too, but kind of a golden age coming in for science and arts and information, like a golden age for community
Mhm.
too. So,
Yeah, I felt like in the next few years, I mean, it's already been incredible. If you go back to, the late 70s to now, the technology, it's mind-boggling. It really, really is. And it felt like it was just going to accelerate, and that there isn't, in my 2024 predictions, it was different than other predictions that I've done. I wrote it down, and it had I think it was Gina or somebody said it sounded like kind of higher masters or something. It was different. It had a different voice to it than like when my guides translate things, give things to me. It was just different. And one of the things that they really emphasized was that there were going to be a lot of discussions, and even on Capitol Hill, about AI, and that it isn't anything to fear. It's a new technology that could be used so well and help us so much. But it's up to us if we're going to use it in stupid ways, right? When you have the World Wide Web, you can, spread conspiracy theories, or you can do something like this that's very positive. So it's the way that you use it. It's not the technology itself. And that owning that and taking on that responsibility is going to be really, really important this year, but in the years to come, because it just felt like technology was just going to accelerate at a speed that it almost feels like, oh my God. In fact, this morning I saw a thing on flying cars. I'm like,
yeah,
finally, that's what I've been waiting for my whole life.
I love it. I love it.
So,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because there's so much news going on, and the media doesn't really cover, I think, give the information so much about science and everything that's happening, because gosh, we're like just on the edge of all sorts of new inventions. Well, it's already here, a lot of it, but it's just groundbreaking every other day, it seems like. So,
yeah, it is. And I think it's just and like I said, I've really got the feeling it was just going to be very accelerated, just moving. And part of it, I think, is about getting rid of, or finally stamping out some of these diseases that have been around for a long time. I feel like there was something coming in over the next few years that was a game changer. It was going to almost make cancer obsolete. All these weird, like immune deficiency kind of things that we, autoimmune diseases and things like that have been just such a kind of a mystery in a way, are going to be figured out and stamped out. It just felt like everything was going to accelerate in such a positive way if we let it. It's kind of
yeah.
like we have to get out of our own way, not allow like the prescription drug companies to, lead us in the medical, in medical decisions. We need to really start to, again, just take responsibility and own it, and then let it work for us.
Yeah. 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 That's big pharma. I mean, that's just crazy when you look at it with awareness, right? And think, and now how could this have possibly happened in this lifetime? That they could say, oh, well, you could have this, uh, drug that would prolong your life, but it's going to be 40,000 a month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we saw with, the drop in insulin, how effective that's been to have that drop way, way down. It hasn't hurt them one bit. And it shows we can do it. It
Yeah.
shows that if we stick together and we make a demand together, that we can do it. That was another thing that I kept getting. Actually, over the last week was the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And I know that in that movie, that is all about sticking together. And I thought, one thing that you can say whatever you want about the Democrats, but that is one thing they have gotten really good at over the last 7 years, is sticking together. And when we worry about the election or what's coming up, it's like, that's all we have to do. All we have to do is stick together. And
Yeah.
one of the lessons out of this is going to be cooperation and seeing that how much power we have as groups. We're seeing that with all of the striking going on, all of the strikes going on and things. You're seeing that if we come together, we pull together as a group, we can really do anything we want to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like that too. Yeah, community's been a big thing coming in that my guides have been talking about. And like community and making sure that we've all got our communities around us. Like, our communities here, like the chats, everybody's made so many friendships and sharing so much knowledge and wisdom. And then also um, at home, connecting with people physically, which always isn't my favorite thing, but but
Yeah,
it's nice.
it is. And I think after the pandemic, you had a lot of people either, and particularly light workers, I think, because I know that I'm guilty of this myself, that it's just easier to stay in my own energy. And so
Mhm.
it's kind of like you kind of cocooned, and you're able to manage so well when you're just cocooned like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then we did our retreat, and I have to say that when you're able to share such a positive energy with a large group of people, it's so inspiring. And I think that it's necessary. And so, especially light workers, I think right now need to get out, mill around, because you do affect people with your energy. When your vibration is high and you have a positive energy, it does affect people, whether they realize it or not. And especially if you can interact, out in the world, it really does make a difference. And so, I'm trying. I think that is one of my New Year's resolutions, is to just get out more, get out of the house more, be around and about more, because um, it's too easy when you're just in your little cocoon. It's too easy to just think, I'm fine. I don't, I'm good. I'm not. People definitely challenge you.
Yeah.
Whether you're in line at a store or you're, waiting for whatever, it challenges you. And I think a lot of us have felt not strong enough for extra challenges. It's like we can only handle what we can handle, but it is time. I think this is a great year to get out and about, and kind of, if you work on your energy and you like keeping your energy or your vibration high, that's something you work on. Get out and spread it around, because it does make a difference.
Yeah, I have noticed that, like, just going to the, hardware store today, it was like, this woman gave me a double take because I was smiling at her, and she was like then she smiled, and I was like, "Okay, done."
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah, and it is little things like that that
Yeah,
can just lift people enough to maybe start a new trajectory, or a new, or even just lift the vibration enough that maybe they go and do some positive, nice things. It really is a chain reaction. So
yeah, it
yeah.
really is. Um, I was watching, well, it was on YouTube, but it was an old thing, interview with a guru, Siri K, I think is his name. But anyway, he was so fun and childlike and, smiling and definitely just off the charts with his light coming out of him. And and he was talking about how, you never know who you're going to meet on the street that's an angel. Like you just have to look and they're out there. And then sure enough, same trip to the hardware store today. There's an elderly gentleman walking around wearing an old coat, almost looked like he was homeless, but he wasn't. I mean, I saw his car and whatnot, and a face like an angel, like just
Oh,
light filled and so beautiful. And it turns out we parked next to each other, and I was just like,
oh,
parked next to an angel.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And also being around those other, um, you know, out and about, to be around trees, plants, animals,
yeah,
gardens. All of this stuff is it's so uplifting.
yeah.
Um, I This year, like I said, I was telling you before we got on that we kind of have adopted this cat, and now he comes in. It's been a really slow process, but now he comes in and eats, and he stays in his little house, and we have like a heated blanket out there for him, and or like a little pad out there for him, and a little house. And um, I got a big giant bag of bird seed to start feeding birds, and
Wow.
just
Yeah,
it's so it's it's so magical. It's right there, and it is such a magic that's around us that I think we can tune out again, because the drama, the daily drama, family drama, whatever's going on, and our worries and whatever, and you tune it out, and it's just there. You just have to, like you said, be aware and alert and notice it, and it can really be so uplifting, and it is like magic, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I felt so lucky. But then again, I'm driving home and I'm aware that somebody pulled up incorrectly next to me, and I'm a rule follower. And I thought, "Oh,
Me too.
I'm trying to turn here, and hey, bud." And I didn't say anything to him, but this was going on in my mind. I'm like, "Okay, you just saw an angel and now you're ready to
And
tell this
I mean,
person
that
how to
is the
drive."
challenge, right? Because it can. I
Yeah.
mean, it can turn on a dime. It can like again, it tests you. It really does. People are. I think it was Ram Dass who said, if you think that you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your parents. And it's like, and it is. It's just that people do challenge you, and as the light worker, you need that sometimes. You need to see how far you've come, and if you're able to let things go and not react to everything, and see the silliness of people. And because the guy, or I assume it's a guy, it could be a woman, taking up more space than they need, and trying
Yeah,
to be, with a parking space. You think it's absurd and so funny that it makes people feel big to do stuff like that. And so you can either see the silliness or the funniness of people, and how they react and respond, or you take it too seriously, and you fall asleep again, and you fall into the drama of whatever and start reacting but it's good to see how far you come or what you need to work on, and that does it. Stepping outside the front door and exposing yourself to other people and other circumstances that aren't in your control. That's when you learn
right.
exactly what you need to work on.
I find that the car is a nice vehicle for that too, because it's like, I mean, for a long time, it was, I could be spiritual everywhere else and nice everywhere else, but in my car, I was the boss of the world. And if somebody did something wrong, um, I would, I would definitely let them know by honking my horn or whatever. And now I just kind of laugh at that. Like, what did that do?
Right.
That didn't help anybody or me, but,
Exactly. And when
yeah,
something happens like that, it's a great opportunity to not react to it and see what happens, see what you feel, because usually what you feel after a minute or two has passed is that it doesn't diminish you in the least. It doesn't do anything to you. It's how you let it affect you. And so it's a great, that kind of thing is great for to turn it into a spiritual practice and to go deeper. I love it. But yeah, everybody's agreeing that when you step outside the door, it's like, that's when you learn. That's when you start to learn what you need to work on.
Yeah. Kimberly said something funny. Like, Kimberly lives in LA and she gets tested every day. And she goes outside the car. Or no, not in LA. Yeah. Your own attitudes, not by others, but my own attitudes. Yeah. Lots of work shows up. Yeah. Annie, my husband was like that too. He thought he was the boss of the world in the car. And I was like, oh my gosh. Hunker's remorse. Now that's a t-shirt, Joe. I love that. So
that's funny.
Yeah, definitely. So working on that, on our energies, going in and working with awareness. Do you have like questions that you ask yourself, or how do you check yourself? Like,
one of the questions that it's kind of what I was just talking about, when somebody does something or it could be a personal, a family situation, a relationship, to stop and ask myself, does this diminish me in any way? Does this hurt me in any way? Really? And 99% of the time, it's absolutely not. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. It's the way I let it affect me. So that's one of my questions. That is, it is a kind of staying awake kind of question, because that is what you react to. Is you feel like if my husband, I'll take a small little thing, right? My husband leaves cups on the side of the bed. He'll have milk or something, and he'll leave a cup, and I'll see it there in the morning. And before 20 years ago, when we first got married, I would have been beside myself. You don't respect me. You don't respect what I like, what I want. You don't understand. It's too much work, and I can't do everything, and blah, blah, blah. That would have happened. Today, I'll see it, and I'll ask myself that question. Does this diminish me in any way? Or does it diminish the love I have for my husband, or the love I think that he has for me, or that I believe he has for me? And it's always no. But it's a great tester, because it's one of those little niddly things that you have as a couple, or as a and sometimes I'll pick up the cup and just take it downstairs, and other times I'll leave it, but it's fun to just kind of to notice your own response to things. So I'm always kind of asking, and kind of just, again, stepping back and kind of watching from the observer position. What does this really mean? Does it mean anything? No, I'm making it into something. I'm making it into, you don't respect me, or whatever. That's the kind of thing that I would just go right into like clockwork. And especially if you have triggers, like certain triggers, it's always such a great idea to stop, ask yourself that question, or just ask, what is happening to me? What is this taking me back to? Or why is this such a trigger? Even just being able to put that distance between you and the reaction, it's so helpful, and it leads to such growth.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that stop and listen.
Yeah. What about you? Do you ask yourself questions or probing questions?
Well, it was always, who am I? That was my thing. Like, well, who am I? if I'm this person, or who am I if I'm that person. But it's kind of evolved just lately into what is my story. So is my a story that this affects me, or is my story that that this person giving me unwanted advice is saying that I'm not doing something right, which, it's easy to feel that way. Or is
Right.
this story that this person is giving me advice really being helpful and kind?
Right.
So,
Right.
um, changing the way that I look at things, like,
Right.
when you change the story, you really change your reaction, and like you said, does this diminish me? And it doesn't if somebody gives me unwanted advice. It doesn't diminish me at all, and it makes them feel good.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a yeah, great way to look at it. And yeah,
Yeah.
it just gives you clear perspective. I think if you can just step back from it a little bit, or in the moment, stop and ask yourself, why is this upsetting me? Or what is it about this that triggered something in me? It's if you can do that, if you can stop and do that, you really are putting distance between you and that ego reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it is ego, isn't it?
It is.
It is
It
a 3D
absolutely
thing.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, just that
Yeah.
karmic thing where you're
Your
like,
your ego constantly wants to repair. If somebody says, "Oh, I like the top you're wearing better yesterday than the one you have on today." Well, I don't. I like this top. Why are you saying that? You think that color doesn't look good on me? You can go right into that, that ego thing that happens where you're trying to repair whatever you think they just did to you or took away from you. If you can, if you can step back from that and ask yourself, or just pause for a second and make sure you're okay. And if you've been diminished at all, and it isn't usually, any
yeah.
big deal. Yeah.
I've really caught myself lately too before I talk to people, particularly my adult children, because they're not children, they're divine beings and they're adults. But
Mhm.
and asking myself, is this really like how would I feel if I heard this? And is
Right.
this a good thing to say? And I'm really working on being clear speaking. And you just brought that up too, having clarity of purpose, clarity of speaking, clarity of hearing, I think is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, listen. Yeah, just listening, not even having to say anything. So especially that's one thing that I have learned to do with um, my daughter, with Cassie, because I was when she was little, especially, and got into the teen years, I just wanted her to be happy. So I would go into fix it mode right away. Well,
Yeah.
what can we do? How can we fix it? What can we, and um, as she got older, that would be more anxiety producing. And so I had to learn to just listen and resist that mom in me that wants to just fix it and make you happy and make you not unhappy anymore, making sure you're okay. It's such a strong impulse in me. And so being able to just sit and listen, actively listen, ask questions, nod, eye contact, really present and being there. And that can be so, so healing. Um, Such a healing thing to do for it. And it's such a loving act, but, 20 years ago or even 15 years ago, I wouldn't have seen it that way. I would have seen it as not doing anything. I need to do something. And sometimes that just isn't true. All you have to do is be there.
Yeah.
And be actively there. Just be present.
Yeah. Um, I don't know why this isn't taught in schools, right? I mean, I wish I would have learned it a long time ago because, uh, my daughter went through this course and then she said, "Okay, I'm going to talk to you about something and I need you to sit here and listen. And when you're ready to, when I want a response, I'll ask for it." And I'm like, "Oh God, where did you hear this? I want to go take this course. So I did, but
Wow.
we're
Yeah.
not told how to, we're not taught how to listen. We're
Yeah.
taught how to respond and we're taught how to fix it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can see that happening, right? In the discourse all over the place. Everybody is dying to be heard and nobody wants to listen. And that is, we've seen it on social media. It's a recipe for disaster. It really is. You've got to have give and take. And you have to, like I said, I think it's such a loving act. It's such an act of respect to just sit and listen. Yeah, I agree with you. I wish it was taught. Maybe it could be a class at Harvard or something. They always have weird courses they throw in, so maybe they could do it and a listening course. Just listen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. It's huge because I feel like, um, and now when I start talking to people, sometimes I'm like, could you just hear me out on this and then let me give my spiel and then we can get to the end of it and talk about it. But so being clear when you want somebody to listen and tell them how you would like for it to happen is great for them. But also, I usually figure it out. I mean, we usually figure out when we get to talk about it with someone else,
Yes,
we become aware and we're like,
exactly.
oh, ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. I remember one of the most productive, my brother-in-law who passed away, he just passed away. He was a Trumper.
Mm.
And I remember one of the most productive conversations we ever had was I just listened and asked questions. And what I said was at the end of the conversation, I said, you know what? We need to start our own party, you and I, because we agree on a lot of stuff, actually, because he would bring up things about this or that tax, or he'd bring up a thing of, thing of student loans, things like that. We had points of agreement. And once I could kind of allow that kind of just listening and asking questions. Why do you feel that way? Or where did you, and not come in as that kind of blaming, well, listen to me and I need to say this. And I heard that before and that's not true. But it was so interesting. And we always got along. We had, but also he was one of those people that I was like, we agree on, both love music. He loves to garden. He loves to recycle. Those things we can start there and go from there. And we never had a really negative interaction. It was always very, very positive. And so he never ever bought into liberals or evil and that kind of stuff, because he knew people that he loved that were more liberal than him. And but that was one of the most productive meetings I ever had with someone with kind of in that. And it was early on, it was like 2016, but stuff really hadn't happened yet. But it was very, very interesting. And it taught me a lot about being able to listen. And again, it didn't diminish me at all to hear stuff that I knew wasn't true, but I listened and I asked questions, and it was a really, really positive interaction. It can happen.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. Social discourse. We don't, it's not
Yeah.
easily done anymore.
No.
I think it, I think it's starting again. I think people
Yeah.
are getting there, but, yeah, a lot of times, I feel like we join other people about, what conflict discourse, kind of like, we don't like this and they don't like that. And
Mhm.
that's kind of a different energy than, well, this is what I love. Like almost everybody loves their family, right? So that's kind of a given. And you can look at this person and say they probably really care about their family. So let's start there.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a lot, so much. I do believe, I don't know who keeps saying it. I think it's either Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama keeps saying we have more in common than we don't. And I think that's so true. We like you said, everybody loves their family. Everybody wants a job. Everybody wants, a roof over their head. Everybody wants security. Everybody wants love. Um, we love our pets. We love there's so many things that we have in common that are all good things. And, it's just, I think it's been 20, 30, 35 years of basically brainwashing from a couple of just different networks that decide they're just going to, divide people basically because it's good for them and it's good for business. And I think that's the issue that we all need to get past. But you're right. We have lots of stuff in common. That's all good, normal stuff,
It's easy when you look at that, isn't it? I know there's, I have a cousin and they're very, very, MAGA and, but we get together now at family functions and he's hilarious. I mean, he's got the best sense of humor and, it's surprising and he won't leave my side at a family function. I'm like, oh my God. But we have a blast talking to each other. So we don't talk anything about politics. It just doesn't come out.
Right.
But,
Right.
So that works out because it's a family thing. But
well, that's it. And sometimes you do have to just put it aside. And like I said, find those things that are common ground and just stay there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this, Julie. It's conflict resolution with
Yes.
nonviolent communication skills. Yeah. Excellent.
Mhm.
Another interpreter. I love that. So, yeah. Yeah. Hilda says, I tell people I was brought up a Catholic, but I'm spiritual, not religious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're seeing so much more of that. People kind of stepping away from from organized religion and kind of moving outside that box that they're, they find it very, very, I think, limiting. And it has its place, because for sure, I was a Mormon, and so my religious upbringing had its place for at that time that I needed it, but so often you kind of, I would say you kind of mature spiritually, and I don't want that to seem condescending, but I think that there is a safeness that is in those parameters of the religion, and once you can you want to kind of spread your wings and kind of determine your own what you think without someone telling you or what you've grown up with. I think there's a kind of a spiritual maturity to that. But it has its place. It really, really does. It's it's where a lot of people start, and learning and talking about things that are, not seen right in front of you or not, that there's something beyond this. So it's sometimes it can be a good starting place,
Yeah. Yeah. I was brought up in the Catholic religion, but my mom was Jewish and she was also metaphysical. And so she was like, and so she's, we would talk about reincarnation and things, but I knew I couldn't discuss them at school because I went to a Catholic school. And, but she said, there's always, you can get something good out of anything. So, and she always really enjoyed the priests and would have long discussions with them. And, it's just kind of like, interesting. So finding that, but I did feel like, when the kids were young and we were in the church and it was such a nice sense of community.
Yeah.
So, that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. And I think people really thrive on that. So,
Absolutely. And the church was the first place I learned about service and how important it was to serve others. And That's
God,
one thing
yeah.
that the Mormon Church is very big on, is serving people. And, you know, it's, yeah, there's many good things you can learn
Yeah,
from
for
an
sure.
organized religion. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Joe left the pulpit 9 years ago.
Oh,
Wow, Joe. Amazing.
wow.
Yeah, it is interesting. And, um, so and kids now, they're so not interested. They're just like, I kinda went back to the church to raise my kids because I thought, "Oh, well, they're gonna get something out of this," but,
Mhm.
they're not interested in any of the constructs that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least that's the way I see a lot of them. 'Em. They're not interested in, the ideas of original sin or
Right.
whatever, and somebody telling them what to do, I think is really something they don't care for. Yeah, the
It's
people are
actually those kind of parameters and that kind of, boxed inness is very counter to who we really are as spirits. We have such freedom as spirits. And I think these young people coming in, they're coming in at a higher vibration, and they're coming in as pretty old souls, so I feel like they're just yeah, you're right. It doesn't appeal to them. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. They really are coming in as old souls, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Or
uh
experienced souls, I should say.
yeah, there you go. They are, they're amazing. I'm so excited about them, and I feel like, yes, they get really, involved in technology, but that's the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
and again, technology and, you know, uh, technology itself, and the all of the amazing inventions that are coming in. By the way, a lot of inventions are going to be coming in that are going to help with the environment too. Because I've always been told that we're going to invent our way out of this.
mhm,
We're going to have these, things come along that really help us to clean things up. But but these things are neither good or bad. It's how we use them, how we apply them. And so we should not have any fear about AI or things like that, because it's what we are going to do with it. And maybe that's it. Maybe some people don't trust mankind, um, but I have a lot of hope. There's definitely more good people on the earth now than there have ever been. Um, go back and read about ancient Egypt, and you'll see how much we have evolved. And it's so obvious to me that we're headed in the right direction, and people are waking up constantly. I keep having new appointments, people that have, because a lot of times I would get repeat people that I would, in mentoring appointments, and I'm getting so many new people that are just starting um, into this world, and they're just stepping out. So this is accelerating. People are opening up in a way that they never have, I don't think, in the history of mankind. I feel like we're just awakening all the time. And there's so many good people on earth right now. So many, way more than I believe, than the weirdos and the the meanies and all these people that are, whatever, taken in by, all the, conspiracies, and want to hate everybody. There's so many more good people. There just are.
yeah,
You can see it when you see a natural disaster happen, the way people come together and help each other and pull animals out of, risk their own life to save a dog. I mean, it really is unbelievable, the kindness and goodness of humanity that's out there. We just see the negative emphasized because it's good for ratings. Negative stuff sells. They learned that a long time ago, and that's what we get fed on. One thing I was going to say that I've been doing more of is watching the local news rather than watching like
yeah,
national news, because local news always has, what I've noticed is that they always have some good news in there. They always have
yeah,
like what's going on at the fairgrounds, or it's the flying cars. I saw that on local news. I didn't see
yeah,
it and any of the national news that I watched, it was all about Trump. So so try that. If you want to, know what's going on, but you don't want to go into the muck of what the media can be, the local news is a great place to go just to figure out what's going on. And then they usually have some good stuff, some stuff that's really lighthearted or funny, or, and we need that stuff. We need to remind ourselves that the world they paint on the television isn't really what's going on really with everybody. It just sells. That's all. It keeps people tuning in. It makes them afraid and makes people tune in. Yeah.
The local news is amazing. I love it. And I go to a few little ones like Scientific America and stuff like that. And there's interesting little things to learn about that,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So people are asking, are you taking appointments for readings?
So I'm not, but I will tell you, I will break the news story on this channel, but I'm just about to launch mediumship, which I've never done as like appointments. I do it in my mini readings for the club, but about a year ago, I started getting messages about doing mediumship. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't feel like I feel like I can do mediumship, but it's not really my thing. So I was kind of like arguing about it. And I know there's so many good mediums out there, just like there's so many good psychic readers out there. And so I'm like, no, I don't think I'm doing that. And they persisted. And then they kept saying with a twist. And I'm like, with a twist? What would the twist be? And then one night I was doing orbs and I was like, it's going to be mediumship through orbs. So what it's going to be, and I'll just tell people what it is. And Gina was one of my guinea pigs, so she's here. She's here now. But basically what I do is I have to say it's very time consuming. It takes me about a week to do one appointment, but I get your information, the loved one you want to speak to, or the pet. You can do a pet, the loved one you want to speak to, or the pet. You get to ask 3 yes or no questions. And I film a whole session with your loved one. And I have to tell you, Teri, I was gobsmacked at what I was getting, because I did some kind of guinea pigs to figure out how to do this, how long it would take, what it would look like. And basically I film a whole session with your loved one. They answer your questions in real time. I ask the question, they send out an orb to answer the question. In the ones that I've done, you can see the silhouette of your loved one standing there throwing out orbs. It's incredible. It really is. I believe that it could be one of those things that if you are stuck in grief, or you can't quite get past your grief, it could be one of those things that could take people over the threshold and help them to see with their own eyes their loved one is fine. They're right there. You can talk to them. It's just that we cannot perceive them in the same way that we could in the physical body. But they last about 40. The connection lasts about 3 to 5 minutes. That's about how long I can get it. And that takes about a week to work up to. I work with your loved one all week long.
Wow.
And then I sit with an appointment. We watch I tell them what I perceived and kind of what to look out for. We watch the footage together, and then they can ask any follow-up questions they want to ask. But the appointments I've done so far, if this is any indication of what it's going to be, it's pretty amazing. And it was not my idea. It was not my idea at all. It came straight from my guides. But it's also, I think, the orb work, I think, is part of our evolution, because have always felt like there was something about our fear of death that was holding up our spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
We have to get past that and realize once and for all that we don't go anywhere. We're still around. We don't die.
Yeah.
Hi, Debbie. Oh, thank you.
Oh, hey, honey.
So I'm going to talk about it on the channel, but that's what I'm working on right now. And it'll be probably launched in the next week or so. And I have to preface this by saying the appointments are a little more expensive because it is time consuming, but it is, to me, I love it. I love it. It's so amazing. And then the other thing is that it is, I can't do that many because it is so time consuming. Right now I can do about one a week, but I'm assuming it will get faster and I'll be able to add more appointments. And yeah. So anyway, that's what's coming up.
I am floored. And when you were talking about that, and I was just like, whew, so much energy going on with that. That is it's a game changer.
I don't want it to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I think you're right. I think you're right, Teri. I think it's a game changer. And like I said, I think it will reach those people who are deep, deep in grief. It will be something that really does give them just a hope and an understanding that their loved ones are not gone at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh gosh, that's amazing. I love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Man, I can't believe that. That's exciting. I want to see it. I want to do it. I would definitely do it. And Kim also has membership. So those of you that are asking for other readings, you offer readings within membership.
Yes, in the membership, that's really the only place I do we do mini readings, and or get at least one a month. I kind of split up the group now that everybody can get one every month for sure. And that one I do personal and mediumship questions, and then political questions on Thursday, every other Thursday. I'm on with Debbie tomorrow night. I do that every other Friday.
I love
that. And then the Sunday show. That's just all spiritual stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Are you doing any membership or not membership classes? I know you and Debbie were doing
We're working on one right now. We're actually working on a class for channeling.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. Well, this is exciting news, everybody. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I can't believe it's already been over an hour. And everybody else here, thank you for being here too. And
thank you for having me, Teri. I always love to chat with you and chat with your people.
We always
love people like us. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. We will see you later. Bye-bye.